Today, we have Dr. Hann visiting us. Tom Hann has been a Protestant minister for the last 28 years. He has served 4 congregations of the Christian Reformed Church. In 2001, he opened his own counseling practice, which he continues part-time electronically through Skype. And that's an internet thing for you older folks that might not know. I was looking at Jim Reineke. Dr. Hann has been involved in crisis ministry since 1990 and is the author of When Hurts Go Deep, Helping One Another in Times of Crisis. He is married to our Cowlitz County Superior Court Judge, Marilyn Hann, and together they have 5 children and 5 grandchildren. So please, a warm Lions welcome for Dr. Hann.
President Cindy, all of you Lions, and me, honored guests. I'm Chaplain Tom Hann, and it's my privilege to be here today to talk to you about the Cowlitz Chaplaincy. Cowlitz Chaplaincy was started in the early 80s. Some of you remember Sheriff Les Nelson after the St. Helens explosion. He was very concerned about what the deputies were going through, and so he contacted several ministers in Cowlitz County, and the chaplaincy was formed. And then in 1983, the nonprofit organization was established, and Chaplain Lyle Prather was the first chaplain. And then later, Chaplain Steve White came on board, and they both retired last year as the chaplaincy goes into its 30th year of ministry. The current chaplains, and there are 5 of us. Myself and Doug Fields are the 2 full-time paid chaplains. Finus Johnson, who lives in the South County, helps us out as a volunteer. Flip Island lives up in Castle Rock and helps us as a volunteer. And Mario Gambaro is our volunteer director, and he basically volunteers full-time. We can't get him out of here. And he's failed at retirement, but we're certainly glad that he is a part of our organization every day. He is my field training officer, for those of you who know what that means. We are trained chaplains. We have gone through the Police and Fire Chaplains Academy, which is up near SeaTac. We attend conferences on police and fire chaplaincy work. We do the whole FEMA training and critical incident stress training, which I will talk about in a little bit. But we are trained chaplains, trained in crisis intervention. The next slide talks about our mission objectives. Our primary mission is we are the chaplains for law enforcement and fire in this county, which includes 6 law enforcement agencies and 6 major firehouses, along with all the other volunteer firehouses that are throughout the county. And it's our privilege to be their chaplains. And so we do what's called purposeful loitering. We loiter around their precinct houses and the Sheriff's Department and the agencies and Longview Fire and Cowlitz too. And we just hang out and get to know them, and they get to know us, and we're the persons that they can come to for counseling, for support, to deal with what they deal with every day. One of the problems that police officers and firefighters have is what's called cumulative PTSD. And they deal with trauma and crisis day after day after day. And then it's like the bucket that's full of water, and one drop happens and it all overflows. And that's what we're here for. We're here to support them and encourage them. Not only do we support police and fire, but we also support all those who work in the coroner's office. all those who work in 911 dispatch, like John back there. I call them the first of the first. They are the first of the first responders. And we also provide crisis intervention support for the community in police and fire-related situations, and I'm going to tell a story about that in a minute. We also provide relational, emotional, and spiritual support to anyone upon request. As some of you know, for a long time the chaplaincy office was on Fisher's Lane, and we are now moved to our new facility, which is in downtown Longview. We are just south of Longview City Hall and right across the street from the Chamber of Commerce, and people will just stop by, which is great. And we try to help them out in any way that we can. We also do a number of weddings, and we do a number of funerals, and so we have plenty to keep us busy each day. Chaplain call responses. Yes. Go ahead and put up the next one. There should be. Oh no, that's special projects. Okay, we go back to chaplain call responses. Last year, the chaplains were called out around 100 times. We thought we had been called out 98 times, and then we found 5 more. So it was 103 times last year that the chaplains were called out. Already, today is just February 12, right? We've been called out 28 times. And so we get called out a lot to deal with deaths, to notify loved ones, dealing with homicides, crashes, domestic violence, little babies who sadly die, and all kinds of serious situations like line of duty deaths. Some of you remember John Dearborn, who committed suicide in Cowitz County, and we spent a lot of time with their officers and continue to spend a lot of time with their deputies dealing with that crisis. I'm going to tell you a little bit, give you an idea of what the chaplains do by telling you about my day last Thursday, February 7th. About 9:30, I was called because there was a woman who had collapsed in the hallway of one of our local elementary schools. When I arrived there, the Longview firefighters were working on her and conducting CPR. Before I got there, one of our 911 dispatchers was on the phone with one of the teachers, relaying to them what to do, step by step. That step-by-step instruction by the 911 dispatcher saved her life. When the Longview firefighters got there, they had to shock her a couple times to get her back, transported her to St. John's Hospital. When I got on the scene, I was talking to the teachers, and they told me that her husband, the family lives in North Vancouver, and her husband was trying to arrange for a rental car to come up to Longview to pick up their car and to be here with his wife. And I said, well, by the time he gets a rental car, we could just as well go pick him up. So since I was the chaplain on call, I called Chaplain Mario, and he quickly agreed, yes, I will go pick the husband up and the little daughter, and he escorted them here to Longview. And I was at the hospital keeping in contact by phone with Mario as to the condition of the wife. It was decided it was best for her to be transported to OHSU. And so while they're coming up here, they saw the helicopter flying south. We brought them up to Longview and got them connected with their vehicle. We have these neat little teddy bears that we carry with us so that we could provide one for the little girl. Right when that was ending, I got another call of an elderly man who had died in Kelso. I got there, was working with the coroner, with Kelso Police, and their family lived in West Longview, and so they asked me to go and to do the death notification to his family. That took about an hour and a half, and then when I finished, I went to the 911 dispatch center to close the loop. Because often, the 911 dispatchers don't know what happened. They don't know the end of the story. They don't know how they played a role. And so I spent some time down there congratulating the dispatcher who did a phenomenal job on the phone. And the other dispatchers, we check in from time to time to see how they're doing. Then I went over to Longview Fire and met with the chief. And just as I was leaving, the crew that worked on this woman was arriving back to the station. They were pumped. They wanted to know how it turned out. I said, she's stable. She's down at OHSU. And Chief, I was going to let you know today and let your crew know that she is doing well. Okay? The next day, she was awake off the respirator, and they were going to do some procedures on her heart. That's a little bit of an idea of what we do as chaplains in support of emergency services here in the county. We also have some special projects that we're involved with. The Every Minute program, where we go to the local high schools and we pull kids out of class. They are now considered deceased, and it's a program that works with the teenagers to show them every 15 minutes somebody dies because of texting, talking on the phone, alcohol and drug related problems. We actually do death notifications to the student's family, and then the parents come and tell the students what that's like to be told that their child is dead because of an accident. And since that program has been around, we have not lost one teenager to that in this county. So it's a very important program. We go and hang out, like I said, with the cops, the firefighters. We do support groups, disaster preparedness and relief. Shop for the Cop is something we do at Christmas time, where the officers get needy families from the community, and they go to the local stores and shop. They get to shop with a cop, and we help to coordinate those things. Our funding sources. This is interesting. I was walking through the Hall of Justice one day, and somebody said to me, "Oh, that's really cool. Both of your wife and you work for the county." I said, "No, we don't." The chaplaincy is not now, nor has it ever been funded by any government agency. The chaplaincy is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We live off donations. All of our funding is donated from churches, civic groups, individuals, businesses, and just a lot of people who believe in the importance of this ministry. Up front, I have some brochures here that talks more about the ministry. There's also some brochures about our auction breakfast that's coming up in April. Please, if you would like to know more about that and how you could be a part of sharing in this ministry, please contact us, and we would love to talk to you about that support. The last one, mission accomplished. The chaplains bring two things to emergency services: the ministry of presence. St. Francis of Assisi said, "Preach the gospel at all times, and if absolutely necessary, use words." A lot of times we don't use words. We're just there for people. And we let them talk, and we do a lot of listening and supporting. And the gift of availability. Just making ourselves available at the office for people who want to stop in. For law enforcement officers and firefighters, it's interesting, we have this really cool thing, and that is we get to ride with them. And we get to ride in the fire truck, and we get to ride with the officers in their patrol cars, which is their office. We make ourselves available to them. Every time I've ridden with fire or law enforcement, I have no idea who I'm going to ride with that day. I get there, somebody invites me into their office, and there was a reason why I was supposed to ride with them that day, every time. So it's a great opportunity that we have to serve our emergency services here in the county. We do have a website. It's called CowlitzChaplaincy.org, and please feel free to visit us on the website, or stop by the office. We would love to have you stop by and let us tell you more about what the chaplaincy does. President Sidney, fellow Lions, Thank you very much for letting me share with you about the chaplaincy.